We will go ahead and get started. So we just wanted to talk. We were trying to stick with the holiday theme of Halloween, and we're having some conversations, and it came up, hey, there's lots of lessons, and from both sides of it, what are some lessons that we've learned, horror stories that we've had from running our bookkeeping businesses. So whether it's issues in the business with clients or like issues that we've ran into with the clients. So what have we seen in their books type thing and that sort of thing. So I'm sure some of you had some stories and stuff as well. So I'll start with a couple. If anybody has any that they're wanting to share as well, though, feel free to either drop them in the chat or like y'all can unmute and we can just have some conversations about that. But definitely take some of these, especially these first few ones, or anything that we talk about today, and like how can you learn from this and make your business better, serve your clients better, those types of things. Those are going to be some of the big points, the big takeaways that we want to make sure that we are remembering. So one of the big things that I would say, like a lot of bookkeepers, and I'll ask this question this way: how does everybody process their payments for your clients? Are you charging them on the first of the month for cleanup jobs? Are you charging them before the cleanup jobs? Those types of things. Because that's one of those things that, like, I know for me, it was one of those things that everybody tells you in the beginning, make sure you charge before you do the work so you don't have issues collecting on the fees and stuff. One issue that you can run into is payments being declined, issues with processing systems, whether it's like the actual processing system or they just don't have the funds in the bank or they've changed bank accounts or things like that. So, one suggestion with that is you definitely want to make sure that when that stops, the payments don't go through, you want to stop the work. So you're not having to go back and try to, now you're trying to collect for work that you've already done. Because that can add up very quickly. Ask me how I know. For clients, and hey, I'm gonna get it taken care of. And then it doesn't get taken care of. Another issue that we tend to see is trading services. So, trading services can be an awesome thing because you can trade your services for their services and stuff. And something that I know a lot of hearing talk within the coaches and stuff, sometimes it gets to be like, is this a fair trade at the end of the day? Did I trade this service for that? Or sometimes it ends up feeling like, I'm doing the bookkeeping, but I'm not getting what I traded in return, or vice versa. They're feeling that way. So, one lesson that I learned from that, like very early on, was one, either always trade money or put a dollar amount attached to it. Hey, this is what this service cost. That way it never feels, am I doing enough? Or are they doing enough? That sort of thing. Let's see what Michelle said. Auto withdrawal on the 25th of the month for work done in the month. Same onboarding. And if payment doesn't go through, work stops. Unless I know them personally, then I will give them a little leeway. Yeah, definitely. Great suggestion for sure. Um, so yeah, trading services can be a great thing. It can definitely work out to your benefit. You just definitely want to make sure you have some rules and have it all laid out, whether it's in the engagement letter or however, definitely in your engagement letter, but however, like you have all the details laid out on that. What else? What else? What else? Let's see. Another one, as bookkeepers relying on, and we see this all the time, unfortunately, but as bookkeepers not knowing where to go when you don't have an answer to a question for a client, and you go to the free groups, and even in here, sometimes in our group, you don't know who's giving you the answer. If the answer is a good, legit answer, do they really know what they're talking about? That sort of thing. Whereas if you have a community, if you have paid coaches, mentors that are supporting you in your journey, you're getting a good, legitimate answer that you can go back to the client with, and you can make sure their books are being done correctly. But we see that all the time in the free groups that we're in and stuff where people are just getting bad answers. And it's not an intentional thing a lot of times. It's just a lack of knowledge and they think they know it correctly and they're trying to share and give information and it snowballs from there. So you definitely want to make sure that wherever you're getting your resources, your answers from are good resources. Yeah, Sherry said just because they say they've been doing bookkeeping for 5+ years doesn't mean they know how to do it or how to do it efficiently. Yeah, most definitely. That is so true. So true. Let's see. And this is another thing that I've seen is a lot of people, when you're posting and you're marketing and everything, people are going to start reaching out and they're going to say, hey, I really need a CPA. Are you a CPA? If you just write that person off because they said they needed a CPA as, oh, they're not my client, I'm not a CPA, I cannot help them, you might have potentially lost a client, or you might have potentially lost a very good opportunity to gain clients from that. Because a lot of times people don't truly know, and Sherry always says this, a CPA is not a CPA is not a CPA. But a lot of people don't always know what a CPA truly is or the difference between a bookkeeper and a CPA and what can we do versus what can they do. And even to say a CPA, they don't all do bookkeeping, they don't all file taxes. There's so many different jobs that a CPA can have. So I always try to ask more questions. I had somebody this last week, I think it was, reach out like, hey, somebody tagged me in a post and they were like, I'm looking for a CPA. It looks like you only do bookkeeping. So I don't know if you'll be able to help. Had a conversation with that person. Yep, sure enough, I was able to help with what they needed. So you never know what they're looking for till you ask more questions. So don't ever just write anybody off because that could be potential clients there. Sherry, do you have it? I think that was my list of business related. We could go into client related horror stories.
Yeah, so with that one comes to mind, tax preparers also. Not all tax preparers know the same things. There are times, even so in our paid group, we have a CPA. So in the group where we're answering questions, the coaches are answering questions, there's a CPA who also answers questions for you guys. And he will answer tax questions because that's his area in the tax world. He does
Yep.
taxes, he knows taxes. He doesn't do bookkeeping. He himself does not do bookkeeping. His office can do bookkeeping, but we are the bookkeepers. So when he'll give the tax advice and then says, now how that needs to look on the books, like how you get it there is not my area. So the
Right.
journaling, the reconciling, the POS system, the getting the information, that's not their skill set. And so I think you probably mentioned this, that especially we see this with e-commerce. There are thousands of e-commerce platforms or softwares that can integrate with Intuit or other things. There's 650 apps that connect with QuickBooks Online. Beyond that, there are many more, hundreds of more softwares that clients can use to collect payments, talk with clients, CRMs and stuff where they have data that you need to do your job. CPAs cannot keep up with all of that. They're doing continuing education. If they're doing audits, they're having to keep up with audits. If they're doing taxes, they're having to keep up with tax compliance or audit compliance, whatever it is. Then if they're nonprofits, they have to keep up with that. They have to keep up with 99. It gets 30 years ago, a CPA could have done audits, financial statements, tax returns. They could have done all of it. There is just too much now that all CPAs will tell you no. Nope, I don't cross. It is very rare now to see a CPA doing both. And if they are doing both, they're in their 70s or 80s. Does that make sense? Just because like it has gotten so complex. And even then they've probably narrowed down. They've probably niched down because trying to keep up with it, they're only doing what they know, which means they cannot learn all the e-commerce platforms that you have the opportunity to learn. I was just working with a client. They came on last year. We got them, they're an accrual client. They had an enrolled agent doing their tax return and their bookkeeping. They had this person for 10 years. We caught a $40,000 error. in a switch to become an S Corp and all of this stuff, like the carry forwards weren't done right. And they're not a complicated business. And so that does make me like question sometimes when people are doing taxes and bookkeeping, can you really do both? I'm a tax preparer and a bookkeeper, but I am a bookkeeper. I do bookkeeping. That is what we do. That is what I tell my clients to do. And I tell them that because I do think you need a heart surgeon for when you need heart surgery. And I think you need an oncologist when you have cancer, right? Different types of whatever it is, stay in your lane. And I think you can approach that confidently. Jim says, my horror story is a local CPA firm that searches out my bookkeeping clients, then undercutting my fees to steal my clients. And there's a CPA here that charges less than I do, for sure. If you go look, like about a month ago, we had a podcast guest who was talking about acquiring businesses to grow your firm, or if you want to one day sell your firm. If you start getting on some of the like biz, buy, sell type websites, high level, so it's not necessarily where you would go to look for acquiring bookkeeping clients, but if you start looking, you're going to start seeing CPA firms be listed for sale. And if you start doing the math on what they're charging, what they're making annually, how many clients they have, because they'll give you some of that in the description, you'll see that they're way below market value on some of their services. Now, there are times where if they're doing a 0 file return and they're charging $100, like they might not have as much overhead as like a bookkeeper trying to do taxes, paying Intuit all of the fees, because Intuit can get really expensive. They can bulk do tax returns and their expenses, their overhead isn't as much as someone trying to do 2 different services. But I'm sorry that they're undercutting your fees specifically.
But at the same time, that's also the beauty of if you're doing everything, if you're doing virtual and you're doing QuickBooks Online, like you can get clients who are not just local to you. So you don't have to, they're not specifically targeting you because they don't know, or specifically targeting those clients because they don't know those clients if they're only targeting your local clients, if that makes sense.
I guess I'm also curious, how do they know your clients? Like, how are you like posting, hey, are you giving client testimonials or shout outs? Is that how they're getting your client information, or how are they searching out your clients? Michelle says, yeah, so that's really common. So when you acquire a business, one of the reasons you acquire it is what can you do to improve the business to make it better and more profitable? And so in this case, Michelle is sharing that she was working for a CPA firm that got acquired. I was working in a CPA firm before I went to industry, who was growing through acquisition of other businesses. But always you're looking at, what can I do to improve this business? Is it marketing? Is it price increases? Is it a little bit of both? And that becomes an incentive to buy the business, is you can improve it based on what you do best. So whether that's a better ad strategy. Okay, so yeah, EAs are not bad enrolled agents. They do taxes. Some of them also do bookkeeping. I would not sit here and say no CPA should be doing bookkeeping. And I wouldn't sit here and say no EA shouldn't be doing bookkeeping. We have had CPAs who just do bookkeeping and go through the bookkeeper blueprint with us. Yeah, unfortunately, the CPA exam does not teach you the hands-on how to deliver and like actually do everything in QuickBooks Online to deliver bookkeeping. It teaches you the accounting, and that's what I spent many years studying myself. So yeah, CPAs can do bookkeeping, and they can make a great living doing simple. Simple is good. That has been my goal for the past the past 6 months is simple. I make it simple. Keep it simple. Okay, that was my horror story, was the $40,000 tax bill that the client used his retirement funds to, he wound up having to pull out some of his retirement to pay for it. And that just made me sad, because then he lost 18 months of growth during a season where that would have been really helpful. We currently have a cohort that we were working with all of November and December. The goal of that cohort is to get you started. So we have seen people get stuck and they don't get a client. The whole goal of November through December is for you to get about $500 worth of clients in your workflow. So it's designed to pay for itself. We're going to help you. We've already had someone in the program in October. So 2 weeks in October, 3 weeks in October, signed 2 clients. Yeah,
Yep.
about 3 weeks. Now is the time that people are searching for bookkeeping. They're looking to get their books caught up. They probably have it done January through October. And so you have all of that with you.
We would love to support y'all and see y'all in there. We have the course, the group calls, individual calls, the group Facebook, the paid Facebook group, all the things to be able to support you and help you reach those goals.
I know, Megan, you have some spots if anybody wants to discuss getting into the cohort.
Yep.
So tomorrow, next week, if you guys want to join, I would recommend joining no later than the end of next week, just because if you're struggling with your niche, if you're struggling on what to say, we want to start working on that to give you time to market, to sign a client. We don't want you to start marketing December 1st to get a client in December. Absolutely cannot happen. 100%. It happened for both me and Megan. I just want to give you time to make it work for you, for sure. And that cohort is available to any of the programs. So if you join this week, next week, you get that included. We do have a contest within that cohort that makes you eligible to win a $500 gift card that's being delivered December 16th, give or take, sent out December 16th in time for Christmas shopping. So would love to see you there. The next call is on Monday at 9 a.m. So we would love to see you on that so we can get you started getting that client, getting your income up. Even if it's not your first client, you're just looking to add another $500 in recurring revenue, join for that, and we will work hard with you to get you towards that end. That is according to the effort you put in. And so I know with the student who just joined and got 2 clients, she hit the ground running. There was no wavering about, is she going to do this? Does she want this? She was already, yes, I want this. And so she was able to start immediately looking for clients, executing a program, executing marketing, doing exactly what we've told you guys for years on this podcast. And can you believe it's been years? But the same strategies work, and it's the same strategy she used. So if you're stuck looking for a breakthrough in that sense, something will move forward. Bye, guys.